Well, hi there. Thanks for joining us on Hello Malaysia, Wednesdays with Ernie. As promised, Ernie Chen, founder and CEO of Edson Group, is in the studio with us to deliberate on a very important topic called Education in Developing Socially Responsible Citizens. And also joining us on board is his comrade, I would say, from the Edson Communications, Sdn Bhd, one of the subsidiaries of Edson Group of companies. Let us introduce our guests. Ernie Chen, right next to me, needs no introduction, of course. Welcome, Ernie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having us here one more time.
Great. And allow us to introduce Lui Chi Chung, who is our special guest. He is the Group PR Events and Media Relations Director of Edson Communications, Sdn Bhd. Welcome, Mr. Lui.
Great, thank you, Anne, for having us.
We hope to have a very fruitful discussion with Ernie, right? There's usually a lot of sparks. Number to call, 0326937008. If you have any questions or if you'd like to join in our discussion tonight. Ernie, education in developing socially responsible citizens. This is an important topic to you. Why?
This is an extremely important topic, not just to me, but the people of Malaysia and the whole world as well. Because we need to realize that if we are not socially responsible for the world, we are not going to have too much of the world in the near future. So if we don't start today by educating people to become more socially responsible, not just by giving money for charity purposes, but also understanding how to take care of the environment that we live in today. These are some of the things that is very critical for all Malaysians to be educated on, for all people in the world to be educated on.
Mm-hmm. So, but what does socially responsible citizen actually mean to you?
To me personally, someone who is responsible as a human being, ensuring that the world is sustainable and we are accountable to everything that we do towards the people, the community, the stakeholders of this world that we live in.
I.e. giving back to society.
Giving back to society and also ensuring that we take care of the community, the environment, the workplace, everything that has to do with the stakeholders of this world that we live in.
Mm-hmm. So there's increasing spotlight, I'm sure, on companies who actually conduct corporate social responsibility, so to speak, programs. Why is there an increase, Louis?
I think there are a number of factors. I think the first factor is that the consumers and the society itself, they have high expectations of company today. So if you look at, the recent last few years, there have been a lot of corporate scandals and stuff like that. US, you have look at Enron, Tyco, WorldCom. Locally, you have many examples: Omega Securities, Ekran, Transmile, and a few others. So all these just make people less trusty of corporations, and therefore, I think when we look at corporations today, we hope that we want them to be responsible. We want this to be accountable. And that's one factor, a very important one that increases the spotlight. The second factor is that internet, global media, today you cannot afford to make any mistakes. News travel fast, bad news travel even faster. So you can't escape. If you have any wrongdoing, the next day, the next moment, it's just a Twitter away, as they say.
So it's not just to have an activity or a program that is called a corporate social responsible program. It's not that. It's more than that. It goes beyond that. Yeah, Ernie?
It all starts with us, within ourselves, our heart. Michael Jackson made it best with Man in the Mirror. The whole entire lyrics talks about change begins within ourselves. Looking at the mirror, who do you see? Change that individual first before we talk about changing the world. If we can all just do our part by changing ourselves, our behaviors, that would definitely help the world a whole lot better. And that's how I always live my life by. If you want anything to change ourselves first. If we expect people to be better, we need to be better ourselves first. So before we do anything and say anything, to ask others and what we expect you to be, look into the mirror and ask, do I need to change myself for the better of the world?
Right. What are some of the activities or even programs and also efforts that need to be taken to implement this change, Ernie?
The mindset is the first thing that we need to change. I always call it the mindset and the heart set. The mindset itself must be prepared that in order for us to change, to want to do things that we're uncomfortable with. How many of us here will be consciously having a bin that's not for rubbish, but it's meant to hold recycled cans, recycled plastics, and recycled paper. How many of us ask ourselves the question, do we do that? Even I myself have that challenge on a daily basis. Consciously, is this what we want to do? Is that what we want to do? We all make mistakes, but we all need to start thinking to change that mindset to first and foremost make it happen. Secondly, the heart set, the real desire of wanting to do it consistently and continuously is a pain to take our own bags to the supermarkets, the hypermarkets, because sometimes we do forget. But from the mindset of thinking about it, if it becomes a habitual heart set, we no longer have to think about it. It just becomes second nature. So I do notice a lot of individuals where they no longer tak mau plastic anti, tak mau itu. So it's becoming a habitual thing where we start to see people are beginning to bring their own bags to the market. I sometimes do that. I still forget at times. But I try very hard to make it into a habitual as much as possible. And that is something that all Malaysians will need to start doing. We start doing, taking more effort, more actions, making it a must in our workplace to do things where we don't usually do. It gets a bit uncomfortable, but everything that becomes uncomfortable after a while of doing it, it becomes more comfortable at doing it. So having the right mindset and the right heart set sets it into motion. So taking action is important.
Yeah, but that is what Ernie is saying, you know, Ernie's view. But a lot of us also in the media can't help but think that some of the, or most of the CSR activities are done because of publicity. It's a PR stunt. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we can't get away from that. There are companies who do it just to, you know, do good, to look good. Yeah, but in the long run, I think
they always insist for the press to be there.
Yes, they always. No, there's nothing wrong with the having publicity, but we have to look at the whole thing in the long run. Only sustainable companies who are really in for the long run, they'll be able to do good things, I believe. If you're just in for the publicity to cover up some unethical practices, maybe they will be exposed very quickly in today's world. Yeah, so you can't hold that very long. I like to look at business as in like the values that you hold in your business are like the cement that hold your business bricks together. If you don't have good solid values, at the end of it, your bricks will just collapse easily and crumble.
Okay, we have a caller on the line, Tuan Haji Dahlan. Hello, from Kuala Lumpur. Hi, good day. Yeah, hi.
Yes, I have one simple question to ask the panel. Is that our Yang Berhormat Datuk Najib has announced for the transformation of Malaysia? How do we go about to educate the public on this, the mechanism of transformation? Thank you.
Okay, is that a bit off tangent? But it's okay. Yeah, it's got to do with CSR as well.
Well, transformations is something that the government has put in place as a platform, as a direction. We always say the Prime Minister or the ministers, it's their job to do it. Their job is to make sure they lead well. Some of them are doing a horrible job, some of them are doing a good job. What we need to do is, as Malaysians, as a country, we need no longer point fingers at one another. We need to just get our behind up and do something about it. Transformation is not, say, do today, tomorrow happen. Transformation is every one of us here as Malaysians, do something about it one day at a time, every single day, make sure we do something to change it. If we don't think something is right in the organization that we're doing, it's against our principles and values, we change it. If it's a station that is not according to what we want to say and how we do it, we change the station. The station can always change us, but we got to go with the values and principles of how we do what we do.
So in transforming or in this transformation effort by the government, which measure strikes you the most, Ernie?
They have all these government transformation programs, economic transformation programs, the NKEAs and the NKRAs.
That's a lot.
There's a lot of all these terminologies and things that's happening out there that's being planned for transformation. Do I think the policies are great? I think they're fantastic policies put in place. I again mention this time and time again. I have nothing against the policies, I have everything against the implementation. The people, the rakyat of Malaysia will say it's a great government governing the country right if all this are done right. If the people start experiencing greater, better roads, not only when elections are around the corner, but throughout the entire duration of the 5 years they're governing the country, they will say it's a good government and they will vote them in again. Transformations will happen when people experience the results of the plans put in place. That's how a good government should be.
So let's try to reconcile this transformation and CSR activities. Yeah, what do you think in terms of incorporating CSR, get more companies to actually adopt this model? Yeah, to undertake more CSR activities. Is there enough already? What do you think?
Obviously, it's a big challenge. I think recently the Minister Peter Chin, Dr. Sri Peter Chin, just said that. Less than 10% of the companies actually adopt the CSR agenda. So obviously we have a long road ahead of us. I think one
There's
of
still
the
a lot to do.
there's a lot to do. I think one of the difficulties in persuading people about being involved in CSR is it's just like hell, exercise. Everyone knows it's very important,
Right.
but to actually get down to do it, it's quite a different matter. Just like CSR, everybody agrees with the idea that doing good, to make the world a better place, is brilliant, but it's not very common, unfortunately. And that's why we have so much of the problems we see today as
Ernie,
well.
can you give an example of a very effective CSR activity or program that was undertaken, not only here in Malaysia, but what struck you the most overseas?
Many times you just need to do something very fundamental, which is plant a tree. Planting a tree is as easy as digging soil, putting a tree into the hole, watering it, letting it grow. Why? We all know we are overpopulated with cars because transportation system in Malaysia is not that great yet. So having a good tree in our community allows the tree to take in the carbon dioxide and releasing more oxygen for us to live better. So it's as fundamental as that. If every single home can just plant a tree, that will help us become a better, cleaner country and a more responsible nation as a whole. But more importantly also is education. Educating people how to do this as fundamentally and very effective. This Saturday itself, we have a plant a tree event which is organized by...
It's actually organized by a printing company.
All right.
Yeah, but we are actually going there to participate. It's being held in Frim. I think these are some of the private sector initiatives which are very good. You educate the public on the importance of, planting environment. At the same time, it goes along with your business goals. Because this printing company is trying to actually position itself as a printing company with conscience, environmental friendly printing from A to Z. Not only the ink that they use, soy-based and paper, but also the entire printing process.
Just like how developers and also oil and gas
Yes,
companies
exactly.
would like to make their mark in terms of being friendly to the environment and being less on, pollution. Is that right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know it's no secret. Oil and gas company is hurting human beings, is hurting the animals, is hurting the world, period. Do we need them? Yes. Do they need to be seen as more responsible? I'm sure that everyone have heard of what happened to BP.
Yes.
Right? That's not the secret.
BP oil spill.
The BP oil spill. A statement made by the CEO, not a very smart statement, caused him to have potentially the worst thing that could ever happen in his entire career. So things like this are happening on a daily basis. What's happening is, are we being more responsible towards what we say, what we do, what actions we take to make this a better place? That is very, very important of every single citizen. Not just because they're holding a CEO position, but every single Malaysian who is working, living, playing in the place that we call Earth, planet. We need to make sure we take care of it before we no longer have future generations that we are accountable for and socially responsible for the future to be a better place.
Right. Okay, we'll take a short break. When we come back, I would like to discuss, and it's actually next on our agenda, to find out whether CSR actually helps in a company's bottom line. Okay, stay with us. Be right back. All right, thanks for staying with us. Education in developing socially responsible citizens. One of the ways is for companies and businesses, also corporations, to undertake CSR activities. And we've been talking for the past 10 minutes, had one caller. We were looking at transformation as well, because this is actually transforming our habit, the way we look at ourselves, and of course, the way we look at the world to make it a friendlier and much better place to live in. Question is, will all this affect or help in the bottom line of your business? Ernie, what do you think?
Definitely. What goes around comes around. If we are going to be wanting to do good, to look good, it is definitely going to make you look good if you do good. So it comes without saying. It's okay to go out and tell the world that you're doing good, but make sure sincerely we are doing good. And it's just covering a case of not crisis management so that the whole world doesn't know that we have done something wrong. If we've done something right, we do want the world to know. Why? When we're doing something right and the whole world knows about it, then people start to think, maybe we should follow this guy who's doing this thing right. So we should not be shy about doing good stuff. And if it's meant for publicity, go on and shout about it. But make sure you also encourage others to do good. Does it help your business? Most definitely. We started the whole entire business environment very much focusing on the product itself. That's why I call the first wave of marketing. So businesses in the past has always marketed their businesses focusing very much on the product. So when it came about the second wave of marketing, businesses started to focus very much on the consumer, packaging it to entirely suit to the needs of the consumer.
Right.
Today, environment businesses have started to move into third wave marketing, which is very much focusing on
Third wave, huh?
third wave, which is using corporate responsibility, corporate social responsibility as a marketing tool. Like it or not, you got to do good to look good. And while you're doing good, you must as well look good so that your business are seen in the eyes of the consumer, the customer, that you know what, I'm going to buy from this company because they are not just profit driven. They are also wanting to make sure the community is sustainable. They are also accountable for the community. So the lifestyle has changed. The younger generations want to work with, want to buy from, want to be served by organization businesses. They are more corporately, socially responsible because they see that you are accountable for my future. Because you are, I'm going to support you. And that's why a lot of organizations have built their businesses directing it towards the direction of corporately, socially responsible.
And how do we encourage more companies to inculcate this habit, CSR, into their business model? How can we do that?
How can we do that? This is the challenge for all companies. It's always the action. Yeah? How can action speak louder than words? Everybody can say that we're going to do 1,000 things, but at the end, what really happens is in many cases they're just trying to find loopholes in the laws to see whether they can fit in somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think the most compelling reason, which Ernie has just said, is that the companies just need to believe that what goes around comes around.
Right.
And you call it karma, you can call it anything. But if you really believe that this is the only planet that we have, then we really have to do something for the sake of this planet. It's imperative, I think, it's a moral imperative for us to do something for the sake of the society.
So
for the
there should be
environment.
some money set aside to do all this.
Well, as part of corporate governance for listed companies, you must do that. It's corporate governance for all listed companies to make sure there's a part of your profits that goes into corporately, socially responsible activities, right? But more importantly is that we don't want to just talk about profit and therefore doing it. We must think from a standpoint of ethics. Corporate social responsible organizations have business ethics where it's not just bound by because the law says so. As Louis mentioned about legal matters. If you look at rules and regulations, we are not doing this because the law says so.
Yes.
That is bound by law. That is just being righteous according to the law. But what we're saying is when you have ethical rights and you're ethically correct, you should not be doing whether the law says right or wrong. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Ethics says whether the law says or not, we should not be doing. If the law says, if you steal, I will chop your hand off, therefore we don't steal, that's not corporate social responsible. What we're saying is that whether the law catches you stealing or not, I should never steal.
You should just do the right thing.
You should just do the right thing.
Do good.
Do good, and good will come in return.
In terms of profit as well.
Profit, people responding to your brand, people looking at you being more integrity driven as an organization. Bottom line is do good, good will come back. Karma.
You also feel good when you do that sort of
Yes.
business.
Of course.
Right?
If you use the analogy of the exercise, when you do exercise, you actually look better, you feel better, and you actually do better in health, and you actually live longer. So if you apply the same analogy to corporations, it's the same thing. When you're actually practicing CSR, you look good to your customers, to your investors, your shareholders. At the same time, your employees, they feel better by being in this kind of company which really can serve the community. And in the end, your profit so your bottom line, do see a significant change. And the community that you serve, they also benefit from these initiatives. And there's studies that shows that corporations that are very active in CSR do last longer. They do live longer.
A lot of people always ask me, I mean, Ernie, what is one of the key strategies that you have achieved and your successes in such a short period of time? My response is very simple. It's not because I'm smarter than anyone out there. I do a lot of things very similar to everyone out there. I just am an ordinary person doing extraordinary things, which also continuously give back to the society and community. Don't wait till you become a superstar or you're very rich, then say someday I'll give back when I achieve that. Whether you're rich or poor, we can start giving back the moment we make our first ringgit. And that's what's very important. We must have the mindset. It does not matter how much we make or when we make that big mark. We should always be wanting to give back. At every single state, at whatever possibility that we can give back, we should give back. And we should give back wholeheartedly to want to help so that the world can help the rest. I always believe in the principle that, it's like a ripple effect. If you just help one person and that person help another person, it will keep on spreading. If you help two person, it just spreads. The faster and more people that you help, the faster it will grow. And that kind of momentum will pick up and it definitely will reach the world.
Okay, so as a serial entrepreneur who owns multiple businesses, how do you play your role as a socially responsible leader, yeah?
Sure.
Then we'll come to citizen.
Sure, I think most importantly is we got to lead by example. You got to do it. You got to really continuously take action to show your people, your staff, the community, being a public figure. People expect you to behave in a certain manner. Monkey see, monkey do. If you don't do right, the people will follow suit. It's important as a leader, you walk the talk. Whatever you say, you must do. Whatever you do, you must consistently ensure it is the right thing. Not because it's an earning thing, it is the right thing. It is what I call the universal principles. It doesn't matter whether it's me or you or him. If it's the right thing, we do it. So as a leader, it's not about our ego. It's about the right thing to do. If my people think it's the wrong thing, they need to speak up and tell me. But if you do it because it's my thing, then it's the wrong thing. You got to keep on focusing. If there's a right thing to do, there's a right way to walk, that's how we walk. And that's what we need to continuously do as a leader. Walk the talk. Deliver desired results as agreed.
So Adson Communications also plans for what Ernie intends to do in terms of CSR.
Yes.
What are some of the activities?
In the past, I think Adson has done a lot of projects where we visited orphanages. That's ongoing, and right now there's an initiative to actually have a soup kitchen. That is also part of the plan to have CSR. Maybe Ernie can illustrate.
Yeah.
On a daily basis, our new restaurant, Sambal Biniku, during the lunchtime, every day after 3 o'clock, whatever that we have in the nasi campur area is packed on a daily basis. We pack up to 20 to 40 boxes of rice with a variety of dishes, and we send it to the homeless. We send it to the charity homes. And when you see the faces of these people receiving it, they're so thankful. It's as simple as the act, because what you're going to do with the food that's left over, you're going to be throwing it away. Why don't you feed the poor? It's as simple as just even one box. If you're helping feed one person a meal, they'll be very thankful to us. That's just the food. And of course, the soup kitchen is where we want to get the corporate involved. We want to get the public involved. Donate food. Donate your time, donate your effort. We open 6 days a week. Sunday is closed because we open it to serve the community for free food.
Right.
This Saturday, we are having free food serving the whole community in Damansara Perdana. So
And you're starting...
we're starting at 11 a.m. to 2:30 in the afternoon. It's also the official opening of Sambal Biniku. So anyone out there who doesn't have food for the past few days, come and eat. It's free. And it's so
You
important.
have enough?
Oh, we have enough. We'll make sure there's enough. And it's very important also for us to note this thing, which is fundamentals of giving back education. This year itself, we've given out 180,000 of scholarships. And we have all these students from poor families.
Scholarships,
where they come to our centers and they take free courses in English, maths, science. And And these are children who have gone to school, but their parents' joint income does not make enough. So therefore, they need the extra help in their education, and that's what we're giving. So we're giving food, we're giving our time and effort to develop the children. We are also providing a lot of support as far as ensuring the families are taken care of. And more importantly, we also ensure that in our organization, air condition level is not more than 20 degrees. It cannot be going up.
Yes.
All right. Sorry, it cannot be going down. And also, we also ensure that all lights and aircons are off from 1 to 2. We also make sure that since operations to today, we do not have a photocopy machine because emission of heat is very strong and people will start to photostat more. So that's why we allow this kind of policies to make sure that we are also doing our part little bit by little bit to ensure that it becomes impactful.
Okay, we'll take another short break. Education in developing socially responsible citizens. We took a look at large corporations and what they can do. Next, we'll look at SMEs and what they can do and contribute to society. Stay with us. Yes, thanks for staying with us. We've been talking to Ernie Chen, founder and CEO of Edson Group of Companies, and also Mr. Louis Chi Chung, who is with Edson Communications, Remberhard. It is a subsidiary under Edson Group. Is that right? How many subsidiaries do you have under Edson?
We have 8 Remberhards. We have a few other businesses under Edson Ventures Remberhard, which is our own venture cap and investment company, to look into new businesses and new opportunities that will be able to complement our businesses itself.
So a week after we've spoken to you, have you diversified further from debt collection? Producing your phones.
Well, we have extended the services. This past week, we have actually looked into starting up an animation academy, which we are looking to start producing production training for an animation studio. So we have moved into developing an animation academy studio to produce products to go to the world and to sell to the world. So we're looking at helping young artists who a lot of people think there's no career in, to develop those skills, hone those skills, and bring it to the world and let them know how talented Malaysians are.
And also in this area, you are doing good. I understand that you are also taking in school dropouts.
Yes. There are a lot of times, there are a lot of very talented artists, and when they don't do well in your academic studies in PMR or SPM, and when they don't do well, we immediately say that they're useless kids. But really, these kids are not useless. They are highly skilled talents that we need to hone their skills while they're young, and don't lose them to drugs and lose them to activities that they shouldn't be partaking. More importantly is that our school systems need to change the mindset that if you don't do well in your typical government schools, traditional academic, there's hope. If Malaysians expect the Malaysian to become a billionaire by the age of 21, we cannot expect them to go through the traditional school method, going through Form 3 at PMR, Form 5 SPM, Form 6. By the time they're done with their university, they're already 22, 23. Mark Zuckerberg, billionaire at the age of 21. So if you want them to become a billionaire fast, change the way it needs to be. You don't necessarily need to be a dropout, but if you are a dropout, it's not the end of the world. Be the best at the thing that you want to do. Spend every single last minute that you want to do in that specialized area. Be number one in that, not just in Malaysia, but the world. And you're able to do that. You also be able to give back by sharing your skills and expertise to the world.
And of course, for those who are able to help these people, should come forward and help them.
Corporations, large ones, if you're wanting to ensure that you're developing the future talents, provide educational funds to help these children so that in the near future, when they graduate, when they develop and hone in these skills, not necessarily a degree, they just need to go through programs, intensive courses, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, come out with a very important skill that they truly enjoy. Be an animator, be a flash artist. With that skill, they will be highly in demand. Don't go and just get another IT degree. There's just way too many IT graduates out there. It's not going to be able to help and give back to the world. Be specialist in one particular area and learn general IT skills. don't just be a generalist. Be a generalist who is a specialist in one very specific area. So if you are an animator, be the best animator in one specific area and serve the world in it. Share your knowledge and expertise with the world. That's how you give back. And how we intend to do it? We intend to have the rich pay, and we support the poor who cannot come for the classes. Because why? For every 25 students that pays for it, we can put in another 3 to 5 students. That's on our
You're
account.
just a step away from being Robin Hood. Okay, we have a caller on the line, June from Kuala Lumpur. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening. You have a question?
I would like to pose a question to Mr. Louis.
Louis.
Basically, what topic today is we want to educate or instill the element of citizens to be socially responsible, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, for business, be it SME or GLC or MNC, CSR is interrelated elements of 3 Ps: the people, the planet, and the profit. Therefore, what would be your opinion on the momentum or the impact on the matter of whether consumers who hold the purchasing power would consider any corporation's CSR initiative before making any of their purchase decisions? Thank you.
Thank you so much, June. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Consumerism is becoming green. So green consumers are actually...
That's a fact, yeah?
Yeah, it's a fact.
We're going
They are
green.
influencing decisions on their purchase decisions. A interesting study that that took place was a study of all the electronic companies. So you have Dell, you have Apple and LG and all kinds of companies there. So they actually had 2 kinds of study. One was done by Greenpeace, which was the actual environmental performance of these companies. And then they did another test, which was actually the perception of the consumers on these companies. What was interesting was that some companies, they actually did fared lower in the actual performance,
Yeah.
the green card, but they scored higher on the perception. So somehow companies like Apple actually scored higher on perception, even though their environmental performance was actually lower than, say, Nokia. But Nokia, which was actually higher on the environmental performance, somehow gave the perception they were not as green. So perception played such an important role that consumers today will purchase something based on that fact alone, that if I think your company is a green company, is a sustainable company, I will support you.
Do they do this consciously or unconsciously? What do you think, Tony?
Well, as I said, do good to look good. So the smart organizations will know that by doing good, they will look good, but they got to play it right to look good. So if you got a good PR agency to help you out, they'll make you look good sometimes even when you're not doing good. But a very good PR company will always ensure that you are doing good to look good.
That should be instilled first.
Yes,
Yeah?
always. We must not be expecting that when we are not doing good to look good. And there are a lot of very unethical PR agencies who always are paid to just make you look good, whether you are good or no good. Because bottom line, money talks.
Right.
If the money is right, agencies are there to help you look good.
Yeah, but those are for companies who have the money. Yeah, large corporations and of course public listed companies.
Yeah.
They are required, yeah, in terms of corporate governance to set aside some or part of their profit,
Sure.
yeah, for CSR activities. What about SMEs? Are they also actively, incorporating all this into their business model?
We are an SME, right? We always like to think that we're SME no matter how big we grow. Because it's important to note one thing. It's always about time and effort. 2 things. You don't need money to be CSR driven. You do not need money to be more responsible towards the community and society. It all starts within your own organization. If you can just do fundamentally the little bit of just making sure you are saving water, not spending much just because the government says you don't have to pay, you don't have to waste water. That's important. Now, when you talk about SMEs, we started to look for partners. We went and looked for Nippon Paint. They sponsored us paint, and we named it Out Loud Orange, and we went ahead and painted the town orange. We went to homes, orphanage homes. We used the sponsored paint, and we used our time and effort on the weekend to paint those homes. clean those homes, play with the children. So a lot of people always say, no, we don't have the funds, we don't have the budget. All you need is just your time and your effort. People are more than happy and willing to sponsor you with what their business is about. We just need to be more creative to look for what is the need of the homes or the community. If you need trees, go find for sponsors in Sungai Buloh. There's a lot of those orchards are willing to give you some trees for you to plant more trees. So just be creative. Ask. If you don't ask, you never know you're going to get it or not. If you want something, ask for it. Before you know it, you get a whole entire animation studio supported and sponsored by a technology partner, including a server. So that's what's expected of our community today.
Is this what you got? Is this what you
It's
got?
called leveraging on partners, making sure partners are always there to help make the place a better place. I mean, we intend to be giving back to the community. We also expect others to be coming together to help out. So if you want an animation studio put in place for free, ask for it. You never know. You'll be surprised you get everything put in place, and they'll just say it's part of their CSR as well. And their demand back from you is provide 100 educational scholarships to develop 100 students, for example.
What are some of the areas or dimensions, perhaps Louis, you can talk about this,
Yes,
that companies should look into,
True.
to inculcate or undertake CSR activities?
So actually, Busan Malaysia has set a framework which is quite useful. It's 4 areas in it. So the first is the environment, obviously. Second is the community. And the third area is actually the marketplace. And the fourth is the workplace. So environment, of course, there are a lot of things that corporations can do in their processes as well as the impact. For example, if you're a manufacturer, you make sure that you're not polluting the environment, your processes are clean, and you don't emit as much carbon dioxide as possible.
Right.
And also in offices, if you're a banking industry, maybe you can go into electronic statements instead of printing everything. So this is one thing you can think about in environment. And in the community, of course, all companies exist within the community. They depend on the people in the community. So as also the community depend on the company. So there's a lot of relationship between these companies and community. Supporting the education of the community is one thing that companies can do.
The poor?
Yeah, the poor, the underprivileged, the youth. How do you develop the youth? Like what Edson is trying to do as well.
Animators?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have to look into all these areas. And
Marketplace?
the marketplace is a great opportunity actually for us to maybe educate even our customers and our suppliers. If you're a big corporation, you actually have the influence and the clout to actually demand from your suppliers that please provide us with eco-friendly or environmental-friendly products, so that we want to be seen as responsible.
So we make that demand, we
Yes.
create that demand.
Yes,
It's
a lot
right,
of the
yeah.
big corporations can actually have that cloud. And of course, the workplace, this is often neglected. But our employees are also part of society. So, basic rights, gender rights in the company, better workplace, health and safety issues. These are issues which a lot of companies also need to look into. Yeah. So it's not just putting up a show about what we are doing outside, but internally in the company, are we treating the employees in the right way? Are they benefiting from being with us? So these are issues of CSR as well.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot to do, and not many
There's
companies
a
are
lot
doing this.
to do.
Yeah, I mean, 10% of the companies doing it in Malaysia, that's about 90% other companies doing that not doing out there. Only 92% of organizations are SMEs. So imagine, are we talking about 8% of the large organizations that are only practicing? Yeah, pretty much. So it's important for SMEs out there. It doesn't matter how big you are, whether you're one-man show, two-man show, whether you're a micro enterprise, whether you are the lady selling rojak on the street, whether you are the kakak selling popiah in the shop, we all can do our part. Just be doing a little bit on a daily basis. If it's Earth Hour, if it's meant to shut the lights for that 1 hour, shut it down just for 1 hour. I mean, go take a walk outside, sweat a little bit, come back, and turn on the lights again. That will save one day. And that's important for us to realize as corporate social responsible individuals, not just citizens, individuals living any part of the world. We got to do our part.
And we'll take a short break. We'll do our part, to come back after this commercial break, of course, to find out more what citizens can do to be more socially responsible. We'll hear it from Ernie and also Mr. Louis in the studio with us. Stay with us, don't go away. Yes, education in developing socially responsible citizens. Some tips we'll try to get from Ernie Chen, who is CEO and founder of Edson Group of Companies. Also joining us for the past 45 minutes or so was Mr. Louis Chi Chung, who is Group PR Events and Media Relations Director of Edson Communications Sdn Bhd, a subsidiary of Edson. What can Malaysians do to play their role as socially responsible citizens, Ernie?
Malaysians need to always remember to become this One Malaysia platform, as stated and directed by the government, is to ensure that it's inclusive, means everybody, sustainable, means for a very long time to come for us to be wealthy. What recently we have heard is that we're getting a 500 ringgit seasonal ang pao, which is seasonal because it's not sustainable. Everyone included? I don't think so. Not everyone is receiving a 500 ringgit ang pao. I'm definitely not receiving that. So it's definitely not inclusive of everyone.
Definitely not for the private sector.
There you go. Secondly, the word is called sustainable. How is it sustainable with 500 ringgit? 500 ringgit cannot even pay my petrol for the month. If I am a person who is receiving the 500 ringgit, I would never think that's sustainable. What I would advise Malaysians to do with the 500 ringgit is to ensure that you are using the 500 ringgit to invest in something called knowledge for yourself, so that you then know a very specific skill that you can use it to develop and generate revenue, sustainability for yourself for many, many years to come. So don't just give out handouts just like that. People start to expect it. And when you don't give it, people start to get pissed off. So you definitely don't want to get people pissed off by not continuously providing them sustainability. You got to teach them how to be sustainable on their own. How can they stand on their 2 feet so that they can take care of themselves? The old saying keeps saying and is still being said. Don't give them the fish. Teach them how to fish, and they'll forever be able to feed themselves. That's important.
Yeah, but that's usually forgotten.
Always, and that's why we're here to remind you again and again, so that you don't forget. Learn how to fish, the different ways of fishing. Fly fishing. Go throw the net and fish. Go use your bare hand and fish. Do whatever it needs to teach yourself how to fish, so that it's sustainable. And everyone is included because you then know how to fish for yourself. Don't expect handouts anymore. It's not going to do you any good. And is that CSR? I'm doing my CSR right now, which is educating Malaysians. Start taking care of yourself by being sustainable.
All right. And apart from what you said, there are also a lot of large corporations out there who give these sort of handouts, like donations. I think that is very popular among corporations. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes,
Louis,
it is. I mean, this is what they call the traditional CSR kind of activities, where they actually just
donations,
just give money out. It's kind of easy for corporations because, you know...
Just sign a check.
Yes, and it's easy to do that. But I think they need to understand that other than fulfilling this obligation, they need to move towards a more strategic approach. How is this money going to really help the community? At the end of it, you know, if money is going in, but are we actually designing programs that are enabling the right people to get the right skills to do the job? If it's not, then it's just, you know...
Not sustainable.
Yeah,
But it's really easy to just sign a check.
Yeah, it is.
Correct.
It's still the easiest one. There's nothing wrong with that, but we have to move away from that.
And we have to ensure that whatever we do is accountable and sustainable. Bottom line, corporate responsibility, corporate social responsibility, whichever one you want to call it, bottom line, ensure that we as citizens of the world are as accountable to the world for ensuring that it's sustainable for future generations to enjoy it much, much more. I've got this story that I would like to share, which I heard and I thought was so funny. We were at a Chinese dinner and one of my friends told me, many, many years ago, they were saying that this is tiger meat and you should eat it. And one of my friends then told me, you know what? My dad said this, should we be eating the tiger? The dad then responded and said, you don't eat it now, you will never ever get to eat it ever again. Because it will never be around anymore. So it's education of understanding that some of these things that people need to be taught and told to. Common sense is dead. We no longer have common sense. We need to be taught how and what needs to be done. If you're not supposed to eat tiger, you got to educate people that's not what you're supposed to eat. All right? You want to see them because the children of the future, what is that? Is that a cat? No, we no longer will have tigers. So it's important to educate that is a big cat. You don't walk close that guy because he's going to chomp you up.
Right, so that's ignorance for one.
Yeah.
A lot of ignorance.
In the ignorance of the sense that If we don't do this now, it will not be there anymore in the future, you know. And that's important to note. So there you go.
Okay, so large corporations, we've covered SMEs and also the government. There was a bit there, yeah. Ordinary citizens, yeah. What can they do?
Start by bringing your own bags to the shopping complexes
There you
instead
go.
of using the plastic bags, right? That's important. Stop throwing rubbish out of our cars. That's another thing that we can do. Start saving water that you don't necessarily need. So you don't need to take a shower, don't take a shower, but don't make sure that you are being kind to your colleagues in the office as well, that you don't stink. And these are some fundamental things that we as citizens can do. It's not that difficult. Use when you need, but really limit as much as you possibly can so that it's sustainable.
Yeah, it doesn't mean just going out there and getting a hybrid car or something. that could be one of the ways.
That's for Leonardo DiCaprio, you see. That's star celebrity status, you can afford that. And it's not about that, it's really about the fundamentals of what we can do. A little bit will definitely change a whole lot before we earn it. Use less hairspray, use less makeup, use less of everything, really, potentially, and that's going to be able to help a lot more for sustainability.
Yeah, don't worry, I use very light. Okay, Mr. Louis, a few minutes left before we wrap up. Any
Yeah,
final
I think
words
the
from you?
basis of being a socially responsible citizen is always this way of living. You have to have this contributive way of living, where in your heart that you know that your life and the environment and others are connected in ways that you might not realize. So in only by having this thought that every action that you do is meaningful, that you can impact others, because you know that everything that you do, whether it's just watering your garden or even washing your cars, may have an impact on others as well. So if we can have this thought all the time, then we're on the way.
Yeah, whether you're a corporation, whether you're SME,
Yes.
whether you're the government, whether you're just an ordinary citizen.
I have this fundamental philosophy for my CSR projects, which is called the more you give, the more you get.
Yes.
So in order for us to get more in return, start to give. Don't expect in return first. We are always expecting people to give us first. Why can't we just say, you know what, in order for me to get 2 ringgit in return, I first must give a ringgit out. In Chinese, it says, 小菜唔出，大菜唔入. So for the friends who do not understand that, if little wealth don't go out, big wealth will not come in. So it's important for us to give wealth not just in monetary terms. Wealth come in many, many ways. Forms, channels, wealth in terms of knowledge, wealth in terms of support, wealth in terms of time, wealth in terms of friendship, wealth in terms of anything that is of value to the people that you're helping. That is what wealth is. Wealth is in terms of anything that is of value to the people that we are giving to. If we were to sponsor rich kids to go to school, send all those who don't need the JPA scholarship to go to school, that's ridiculous. They're so rich and yet we send them to school. Send those whom is of value to. Give those who really need it. That's called wealth sharing. Don't give individuals whom parents are already filthy rich, and just because they are holding a title in some government office, they still get the GPA scholarship. That money could be given to those really in need of it, and that's what we're talking about. Helping those in need. That is called giving. The more you give, the more you get in return.
Thank you, Ernie. You have said it as it is. We need to wrap up the show. Ernie Chen, CEO and founder of Edson Group of Companies, and also Louis Chi Chung, who is with Edson Communications Sdn Bhd, and to all of you who have been watching us and also listening to this great topic. Actually, it's a very interesting topic: education in developing socially responsible citizens, corporations, SMEs. We've covered a vast area here. Do your part for society and give back from what you get. I'm Anna Edwards. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you again. And next week is Deepavali, so Ernie is taking a break. He celebrates Deepavali, he just told me.
All celebrations in Malaysia.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you again. Bye-bye.